Sir, in case you were wondering, Miss Chandler, she didn't wear a pacemaker.
I wasn't wondering.
Yeah, but she did have one of these. This is a pager. She had this model, sir. Oh, she carried this with her everywhere, probably in her pocket. And this would tell her when she received email messages from the computer. And you know, on the day she disappeared, she received messages, let's see, 11:13 and 11:57. But then, at 12:32, the pager cut off. No more signals. Kaput.
What do you think caused that?
That is a burning question, sir. I think she was dead.
Really?
Yeah, I think she was killed right here at the Houston service.
But what would the killer do with the body?
He would get rid of it. He'd cremate it.
But there was only one cremation that day. That was Chuck Houston's, and I did it.
Yeah, so the killer would have had to have switched the bodies. Switched Chuck Houston with Miss Chandler.
I see. So if he had switched the bodies, that would explain how the pager went kaput.
Yes, sir. It would.
Yes, I see. Well, since there was only one cremation that day and I performed it, that would make me the murderer. Do tell me, do you have any bodies?
No, sir, I don't.
So if you don't have any bodies, you can't prove that there was a switch?
No, sir, I can't.
No bodies, no case.
Mm-hmm. I suppose so.
Yeah, well, that's the tricky thing about burning questions. Once they're burned, they're just ashes. Ashes. Have you gone?
Greetings, fellow Columbo fans. Welcome to the next episode of the Columbo Confab podcast. This is over here is Steve.
Right, yeah. You're not really sure who you were? Yeah, this is Steve and you are Sean.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. And tonight we're going to be talking about Patrick McGoohan's last turn as a Columbo murderer in Ashes to Ashes as a murderous mortician.
And he's also the director of this episode.
Yes, and he was the director of the one after this, Murder with Too Many Notes, which is the one with Billy Connolly as the one with the ending that doesn't really quite make sense, if you remember that one.
I don't remember it. And we did watch it though, right?
Yeah, we watched it a while ago. It was one of the first 90s ones that we did. Okay, so are you excited? I'm so excited. I was so excited to watch this because I haven't seen it for years and I didn't remember that much about it, and I thought maybe it wasn't as good as I remembered it, or maybe maybe that's a spoiler of how I feel about this. But I'm not going to say
my
opinion has changed.
1,000 pardons. Go on. I'm sorry.
But okay, so this opens up with
sorry.
Funeral
1,000
home.
pardons. Keep going. Sorry.
So this opens up in a funeral home where I'm just waiting for you to do something again. Is this something from the show, from the movie?
Don't you remember the chic guy who always apologized?
Oh my God! Yes. Oh, okay.
Everything, every other sentence was 1,000 pardons. So whatever.
I meant to look that guy up.
You just think I'd randomly say shit, don't you? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Where was I? The first person that we see on screen is a priest.
Oh.
No, not dead. Well, he is dead now in real life, but it's a priest, an English priest, and he is practicing a eulogy for the late, I can't remember this guy's name, Chuck
Houston, yes.
Who apparently is a movie star, big in westerns and all this. Now, this guy, I was like, oh, who is that? Looks kind of familiar, so I had to look him up.
Who was he?
Have you ever seen the movie A Clockwork Orange?
Long time ago. I was in college, but yeah.
He was the guy's, I can't remember, Alex's probate officer.
Oh. Huh.
that you don't remember this. If you've seen it so long ago, you probably
yeah,
remember it.
I have to revisit it.
Yeah. For those of you who I can't remember his name, I should have written it down. But yeah. So I don't know. Take it from here, Steve, because I'm just all over the place. I feel like I'm tripping all over my own tongue.
Right. So we learn early on that Patrick McGoohan's character, Eric Prince, who's this funeral director, he's a real stickler for time. He's real anal retentive. Goes by the clock, right? Everything's by the minute. So he kind of he gets upset at the priest for going 93 seconds over the eulogy. But yeah, so they're prepping for Chuck Houston's funeral. And we then cut to where he's having a conversation with Blanche from Golden Girls. I call her Blanche. Verity. Her name's Verity. She's a columnist. Not a columnist. She's a kind of a gossip reporter for Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah, like a guy. She's a yeah. She has a show. That's right.
Right, and so she covers kind of like, I guess, she's not paparazzi, but that kind of level of media, looking for gossip and dirty news and anything that she can find. So she uses. I'm
trying to think of somebody that would be comparable to like today, but I can't think of anybody.
Yeah, she'd be popular on TMZ. That's for sure. That would be something she would be on. But her and Eric Prince know each other because he would find, being a funeral director for Hollywood, big starlets and stars, he would find out stuff maybe about, some things they said, homosexuality. I don't know how you would know that. Maybe bruising in certain places, drug abuse. Yes. And so he would tell her, I guess she would pay him, and so she would release it as hot gossip and news. So they knew each other. No, actually, excuse me, I burped there. 1,000 pardons, by the way. So I lost my train of thought there. So they actually are lovers or ex-lovers. Uh-huh. And you're listening to me like it's the first time you've heard this.
No. I'm listening intently.
Oh, okay.
I think okay. So she shows up at the funeral.
Well, hold on. Can we talk about how she looks at her home? So she's got a little bulldog, a miniature bulldog. It looks like puppy, which is important. And she's sipping on some scotch, and she is heavy on the lipstick. We found out that's going to be a clue, and you know how much you love clues, Sean. So.
Oh, there's a whole 20-second thing of her just applying a lipstick while the cab's waiting outside, and I'm like, well, that was a really long shot, and I forgot that the lipstick was going to come into it. When she shows, keep on going because go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I don't know why she's showing up to the funeral for Chuck Hudson. I guess she knew him, but she has an ulterior motive. She's going to blackmail Eric Prince.
No, wait. She goes to all the funerals of all the celebrities because Eric is the one that usually calls her to let her know once someone has died. I believe.
Oh, okay. But she intends to blackmail him.
Yeah.
Of course, not a good thing.
She's not going to blackmail him. She's going to run a story about him, about how he stole a diamond necklace from this old dead silent movie star years ago and used the money to buy into a partnership with I can't remember, it's Harlequin Prince or Prince Harlequin or something like that. But she's not going to blackmail him. She's just going there, and this is a Columbo staple. She doesn't want money from him. She's just going to go and she's telling him about how she's going to ruin his life by running this hot story on her show.
Yeah.
As you do when you're about to ruin someone's life, get them alone in a room and explain everything to them on how you're gonna do it. But.
So there's, I don't think it was a really good idea for Verity to do that.
No.
So yeah, it's really interesting because Prince is kind of a morbid individual. He's got his own little parlor, his own little setup for, I guess, where they prepare the bodies. and that's where he commits the murder. So she confronts him alone in this room, this sterile room, which is not probably the best idea of hers, and he just like brains her over the head with this instrument for letting out fart gases of corpses.
So, but she's really nasty to him, and he's a nasty person as well. And when he lets her have it, he really lets her have it. I mean, they show her the first blow slams her against the wall, and then she falls down on the ground. And the second blow, get this, the second blow is the camera shot is identical to the camera shot in which he hits Leslie Nielsen the second time in the first Columbo episode he was on. That's cool. It's identical. And since he's the director, I cannot help but feel that must be that must be on purpose. So, but yeah, he hits her once, and then he hits her again after she's already down, just to make sure she's dead. It's really nasty and quite graphic.
Oh, yeah, and just the expression on his face. McGoohan is really... I think he's... early review of what I'm thinking of this. It's I really think his acting is superb in this episode.
Oh, my God, yes.
He sells it. I mean, but, yeah. So, let's go back to Verity's TV show. So she has a web address. So this is when I guess emails going on, and I can only imagine this is just going to confuse Columbo even more, because a fax machine confuses Columbo. So I want to, I wish I wanted to email this and see if I got anything back, but it's vicious_rumors_at Hollywood_heartbeat.com.
I'm going to say you're not going to get anything back.
Can we register that we should have that for our podcast.
No, I think columboconfab@gmail.com is fine.
No. You're no fun.
Does anybody put underscores in email addresses
I
anymore?
don't know. Why would you? It seems so confusing.
I don't know. Yeah, just
I like when she's trying to get off the phone earlier. She tries to get off the phone with Eric. She says, "Oh, the liquor just arrived. I need to. Our liquor delivery just arrived." I always thought, wow, that's really cool, having liquor delivered to your house. Have you ever done that?
No, I have. You can do it. It's possible. It used to be done in the olden days, and then I really don't think that unless you were a retailer, they would deliver it to you. But apparently they do. But nowadays there are apps and stuff like Favor. I ordered a bottle of wine one time from Favor, and they went and got it for me and brought it to my hotel room.
Oh, that's nice. That cost you a lot of money.
Yeah. It cost me the cost of the bottle of wine, of course, plus like $7 or something.
Not too bad.
Plus a tip if you wanted a tip.
Oh. So we also are introduced. We are introduced to Liz Hudson, which is the widow of Chuck.
Oh my God, she's
she's all over the place in this episode. But that's the character, not the actress. I think the actress is really fine. The only thing I've seen her in previously was Back to School. With Rodney Dangerfield.
And MASH. She was.
Oh,
in
that's
MASH.
right. You said that one time. I don't know if it was on this podcast or not, but she was Hot Lips. But yeah, she's a raving alcoholic.
Yet another alcoholic widow. Yeah.
But apparently we find out soon enough that her and Prince are having an affair.
Right. I don't know if it was going on for a while or if it just started on the night of her husband's funeral. I don't know.
I don't know either. But yeah, so after Prince kills Verity, he takes off a few things. Takes off her shoes, her earrings, takes her purse, and what else?
He makes sure that he takes that. She took a photograph of Dorothy Parker.
Page.
Dorothy Parker. Dorothea Page's.
Dorothea Page, yeah.
Yeah, she took a photo of it and showed it to him, and he took that out of her purse, as well as she picked up a brochure for the funeral home as well, which becomes important later on, and he took that out of her purse, and he destroyed both of those. And what he does is he switches Chuck Houston's body with hers. So instead of cremating Chuck Houston's body, he cremates hers. Now, I'm watching this and I'm wondering, why did he do that? Why didn't he just cremate them both together? Or why, because now he's got this extra body, Chuck Houston's body, in a locked fridge in the funeral parlor. And it didn't occur to me until later, he would have to do that because he was already embalmed and she wasn't. So is it possible that she would maybe begin to rot?
Right. But why didn't he burn them both together at the same time? I don't know. I think there's some kind of legal state thing where you have to weigh it. I don't know.
I thought of that too, and later on, when there's another person that he cremates, and we're told that person was a 90-pound weakling, and there wasn't much left of the body anyway because the guy died in an explosion, and that's where he cremates Chuck Houston. But I think that if he had it doesn't make any sense. If he had cremated both bodies together, he could have gotten rid of half the ashes, and nobody would have known.
Yeah, but anyway, so
it doesn't make any sense.
So Verity's body's used instead of Chuck's, and I thought it was interesting when Prince is setting up the cremation oven or whatever. I don't know what the term or name is for that.
Yeah, I think it's cremation oven.
But it's like all these dials and stuff. I'm like, am I watching something from Star Wars? I mean, what's going on with all these lights and buttons and knobs? Just
yeah, I know that was a little complicated. I wonder that's got to be what it really is like, though.
Yeah, but so anyway, so he cremates Verity's body into ashes, gives the ashes or the urn to Liz. And so I guess they have a helicopter that she can fly, they get to fly over the Hollywood sign, which we find out later is illegal, which I kind of knew that already. Like, you're not supposed to, I think, empty human remains over a population. That's no good. Which I'm sure Verity would have been very happy to go that way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you know what he did, though? He put her body in the coffin, and then he cremated the body while it was inside the coffin, which I should have looked this up. I don't know anything about, mortuary science, but doesn't it seem like an awful big waste?
What part?
The part that he burned both the body and the coffin. But I'll bet you that there's a rule that you can't reuse a casket, so they may as well burn it anyway.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I don't know.
I personally think that the funeral director service or the mortician service is a big, huge scam anyway. How much that stuff costs and how much you really need it. That's why
I was kind of creeped out by before Verity dies. She goes up to see the body of Chuck Houston, and she plants a big kiss on his cheek. Right?
Yeah. Who does that?
It's gross. I don't know if you've ever had to do open casket, but the embalming fluid, it's heavy. I cannot imagine doing that.
I've touched a dead relative's hand one time during an open casket, a wake, and very cold, not pleasant to touch at all. You got to give those folks lots of credit, though. They make those dead people look really good sometimes.
Yeah. But anyway, so yeah.
I'm sorry.
So Liz releases Verity's ash, unbeknownst to her, Verity's ashes all over the Hollywood sign, and then Prince goes to Verity's house to plant evidence. So and so he, I'm surprised the dog wasn't out. That really bothered me. Her little bulldog. So he plants her shoes, pours her more scotch. What else does he do? He plants the earrings. Oh, he modifies he goes to her computer, sets the date back, which I don't remember computers back then where that was the first thing you did upon signing in, where you set the date. Like, you would think that would be kind of in the settings. Anyways, he
I-
sets a date in advance, right? He sets the time in advance.
Yeah, so he can give himself an alibi to make it look as if she's written a document that she didn't write at that time.
Right, and he
and
he deletes the file on himself, the story on himself.
Yeah, which we know now isn't really deleting it. You can go and find that if you were smart enough, but it's Columbo. And I love that while he's doing all this, he's talking to himself.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, Verity, my dear Verity. Oh, Verity. Oh, goodbye, Mr. Prince. Hello, cocaine." Now you mentioned the dog. Okay, so this was a puppy.
Yes.
I think her secretary mentions that she's had him for like 3 days or
Right,
something
3
like
days.
that. And the fact that she wouldn't have left the puppy alone for that long, and she has the puppy with some newspaper in like a back room somewhere, which is, you know, if you don't leave little puppies at home alone, they'll wreck the place. And so I'm surprised that the puppy wouldn't bark as soon as Prince got there. You know, there was no dog noises.
No, I agree.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe because it's so far back in the house. I don't know.
That's right, because when the police get there, the dog doesn't bark.
No, it's only dog that
anyway.
finds the puppy.
Yeah.
So
And then he does something. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say he does something. He makes it look like there's been a struggle. And I wrote down in my notes, nobody can destroy a vase like Patrick McGoohan. Just
with
the
such
look on
gusto.
his-
Well, he's getting whacked in the head with what looked like a fireplace poker. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, that guy can act. He's really, really good. I mean, you felt it like when he just he had that look on his face when he went for that second blow to Blanche's skull. I mean, it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
A
he
thousand
is definitely-
pardons. I'm sorry.
He is definitely an evil person, even though this is not a premeditated murder.
Yeah.
He's done some bad things, and anyway. So tell us what happened.
Okay, so there's I forgot the sergeant's name. So the it's not a homicide case; it's a missing persons case. So the sergeant, whoever of the week, has asked Columbo to come by to see if he can lend assistance and try to solve the case. So Columbo comes by. Actually, dog barges into to Blanche's home. Sorry. But I keep thinking of her as Blanche. I cannot help it.
I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, Verity's house.
Yeah.
And he starts sniffing and whining. But anyway, so we're introduced to Verity's secretary.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. What an annoying person. What an annoying, pedantic person. He's got the bow tie. He's got the eyeglasses. You know, and I think he might be gay.
think?
I mean, that's not what makes him annoying, people. But
I was going to ask you, what do you think his sexual preferences were?
so, I mean, he says, "Who?" Like at one point, Columbo says, "Who?" And he goes, "You mean whom?"
Yeah, he was like a grammar
What was his
Nazi.
name?
Yeah, his name is Roger Gambles.
Yeah. Oh, and Columbo calls him Mr. Gambler, and he goes, "No, Gambles."
And when the sergeant on the case says something like, this is a missing persons incident, and what does he say? He says something like, missing persons is like being seated next to the kitchen at a restaurant. I'm like, what? How can you make that association between those two things? And why?
I don't know,
And
maybe
why
just-
is sitting next to the kitchen always bad? That's you always hear that. That's
Well, yeah. Didn't that happen in the Donald Pleasance episode? Any Old Port in a Storm? Remember when they go out to dinner at the end?
yes.
And
you're right.
Yeah.
And he was upset because the maitre d' didn't know that Columbo was entertaining.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Adrian Carsini.
Yes.
What's this? By the kitchen? Yes. Yeah.
I remember. Back in my college days, I was working on like cleaning floors and stuff. Oh God, it was grueling. And working on this Italian kitchen, and inside this restaurant, they had a booth inside the kitchen, kind of tucked away. so people could sit and eat dinner. Like that was a table you could book inside the kitchen and watch.
Was it Buco de, did you work at, was it Buco de Beppo?
No.
Okay, because they've got that at Buco de Beppo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. I always thought that was interesting. I'm like, wouldn't that be neat just to sit there and watch the staff run around and the cooks cook and you're just eating your meal, enjoying that. I always thought that would be really cool.
I agree.
But yeah, so don't want to be seated next to the kitchen. But yeah, so dog walks in. He's concerned. He's smelling something, and it's not another dog's poo. Well, maybe it is. But he finds Luann. Is it Luann? Llewellyn.
Llewellyn, I think.
Yeah, so Llewellyn, poor little puppy, has been stuck in that room for 12 hours without food, without water, pee and poo everywhere. In Columbo, that's his tick, man. He any dog that has not been fed, even the cat. There was an episode with a cat.
Yeah.
What was that one? That was a new one too.
That was a trace of murder. He wasn't as angry about the cat as he was about this dog. But I think this actually counts as like, this is now the third time we've seen Columbo lose his temper. Because he, like you'd think somebody had been beating that puppy within an inch of its life the way he acted. I'm like, whoa, Frank, calm down.
Frank?
Calm down. That's his first name,
Supposedly.
remember? Or maybe it's Philip. I don't know. We should call Kate and ask her.
And, yeah. So Llewellyn didn't get her little evening snack. And I think that's the first clue that Columbo now feels this is not a missing person case. This is a homicide. What do you think?
Right. Yes, I agree. That is a clue. It's a clue
too.
And there's it's also a clue. And he sees in her calendar, or I think he learns from the secretary that she went to the funeral for Chuck Houston.
Yeah.
So
Chuck Houston fun. no, it said Houston fun. I'm like, yeah. And then
Houston Fun
PH
PHSB.
Yeah.
Okay. So he goes to the funeral home and he talks with Eric Prince for the first time. Now, there is absolutely no way in hell anybody would ever think that the funeral director was the murderer. I mean, what could possibly be the connection? Mm-hmm. But there's two clues that give him away.
Okay.
Don't prove it, but did you catch what they were?
Let's see. I know is it immediately, like when they're looking at the caskets together?
It's in their first conversation. Near the end of the conversation, he says, because he's preparing for the funeral of somebody who died the day before.
Yes. Astaire. Why didn't he tell Verity about it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There were no messages on her answering machine from you, sir. That's interesting. He goes, well, I was busy. And then the second thing that tips him off is when Eric Prince's assistant, played by Catherine McGoohan, his real wife daughter,
really
tells him, tells Columbo that Verity picked up a brochure while she was at the funeral home. Yet there's no brochure in her purse.
No, yeah, it's missing.
Their lipstick is there. Mm-hmm. But no brochure. So we see in Verity's calendar, her planner, so PHSB, and he even asks Eric Prince, like, well, what do you think PHSB stands for? PH phone, what's SB, whose initials? And he kind of plays with Columbo right off the bat. It's a cat and mouse game immediately. He says, I don't know, Sandra Bullock, Sonny Bono, Stephen Bochco.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Two things about that. First of all, Stephen Bochco was the writer of the first Columbo episode, Murder by the Book.
Really?
Yeah, he was also a script editor for Columbo.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and of course, he recently left us, I think, in 2017. Also, I'm just going to say that if you rewind and you go back to the funeral scene, I'm pretty sure Sonny Bono and Sandra Bullock are not there, and if they are there, why are there all those people I don't recognize there? Why don't I recognize anybody there? Anyway, just saying.
Yeah. Well, Sandra Bullock, she was kind of I'm sure at that point, up and coming. Sonny Bono, obviously still alive, but more of a like a variety show kind of guy, right? Sonny and Cher show or whatever it was.
I think by then he was a congressperson.
Was he? Oh.
Yeah, he was in Congress. Yeah. I don't know if he was in the California Congress. I think it was California.
Yeah.
I don't think he lived much longer after that. He probably...
Wow. What did Bono die of?
He died in a skiing
That's
accident.
right.
Yeah.
That's sad.
And let's see, and of course Senator Bullock isn't dead. But let's see, when did Sonny Bono die? He died in 1998.
When was this? When did this come out?
Okay, I don't remember when this came out.
It's not like you're on a podcast or anything about Columbo.
Yeah.
Come on.
I should have taken out my map of LA for this one. Yeah, he died in January of 98, but I happen to know that this was set in October of 97. Isn't that creepy?
Interesting. That is creepy.
Yeah. But this aired, let's see, this aired on... Okay, so this aired on October 8th, 1998. So that's interesting. So Sonny Bono was already dead by the time that this aired.
Weird. Oh, that would have been creepy. So probably not dead when filming during production.
Yeah, possibly. Huh.
So Columbo goes back to Verity's home to kind of piece things together. That's when he notices the lipstick on the cup, or a glass of scotch. There's 12 photos, right? There's 11 photos, but one is missing.
Of the dog. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, Steve, when you're watching this, did you pick up on the lipstick clue?
No, and I thought it was going somewhere else. Like if she had kissed Chuck, she wouldn't have any lipstick left, and so why would it be on the cup? If she had, smooched on that cheek and it all was on that. But no, apparently that wasn't the case. So what you find out later is the shade of lipstick is different on the handkerchief that was used to wipe off the kiss on the corpse.
Yeah.
It was different than the shade that was on the cup.
Right. So she wouldn't go home, get undressed, take off her shoes and her earrings, and then reapply different lipstick. Right. Unless she was maybe going to do some Skyping by video, but whatever. I think that's a great clue, and it's a clue that... It's weird because when he was setting up her house, and he had that glass with the scotch in it, he actually pours more scotch into it and puts it down. And the first thing I thought was, I bet you that's not scotch he's pouring in there. I bet you he's mixing the alcohols. Like he's pouring bourbon into scotch. Or
you thought that would be a clue? Why would she mix the drinks?
I thought that would be a clue. It never occurred to me that the lipstick would be a clue. And like I said, I saw this a long time ago. But good one. Good clue like that as a clue.
So Columbo then calls Liz at her home, which, funny enough, Eric Prince is there as well. And Liz is already blasted. She plays a good drunk. I've seen better on Columbo.
We're not going to say who.
I'm not.
Time Daily.
I was going to say because I think it's brought up too much. But anyways, so I like how she says, "Oh hi, it's Lieutenant Cumbo."
Yes.
Lieutenant Cumbo. This is the Cumbo Compab. Pab.
No, I think that's the Lieutenant Columbo porn name. Lieutenant Cumbo.
There probably is a porn. I would not be surprised.
Well, we've reached out. No one can confirm it one way or the other.
Well, Liz has just confirmed it. That's the name.
So he talks him into coming over to Verity's house so he can show them some clues, including the lipstick clue. Right. And at one point, her level of alcoholism, drunks can be funny and you know that, but her level of alcoholism kind of made me really uncomfortable and sick.
Really?
Yeah, I recently, we were coming right off of the holidays, and I've been drinking a lot of scotch. And after a while, after like 3 nights in a row of drinking scotch, the smell of it made me want to.
Oh wow!
Like my body was saying, "No, Sean, no more scotch." But that doesn't stop.
You've been embalming yourself.
Yeah, yeah. That doesn't stop Liz. She gets right up and she's looking at Verity's drinks.
I mean, her husband did die. We don't know what kind of relationship they had, but it's obviously she was destroyed or distraught from the loss, and of course, good old Eric Prince just kind of swooped in, I guess, and helped her. What did he call it? Grieving.
Grievance counseling.
Yeah.
It was grief counseling.
How nice of him.
Well, I was putting my hoo-hoo in her cha-cha. I call it a grief counseling, Lieutenant. It's not a very good McGoohan.
No. You started off good there.
No.
It was good.
You have to go up and down like this. No, I'm just doing Maggie Smith. Anyway.
So, so we go. Next scene is at, after Columbo questions both of them, goes over the lipstick thing. And it's interesting. The only reason I think Eric takes her to Verity's home, would that have been a clue that he knew where Verity's house was?
No, because they already had a prior relationship.
Okay.
So
yeah.
It's very likely that. And I was going to say, when she's sniffing out Verity's drinks, and Columbo says, "Oh, you can have one," I'm sure Verity would have wanted you to. You just don't touch the scotch. She pours herself scotch. Because she pours her drink out of the same bottle that Eric Prince used after he committed the murder. I'm pretty sure. I may have to go back and look again.
Interesting. I wonder why.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a production
how
thing.
did she-
Like the non-alcoholic content was in that particular bottle, and so when they filmed, I don't know. That's weird.
I want to know how she knew that particular bottle was bourbon.
Yeah, me too. I guess you smell it.
I guess.
But so next scene is Eric Prince is back in his little prep room, and so he finds out about, I guess, the secretary from Ferris Bueller's Day Off has lost her husband, Mr. Lurby.
Mr. Lurby.
So I don't understand what's the deal. So he was really thin and.
Okay, so he was killed. Not Catherine. What's her name? Rita mentions to Eric Prince that he was killed in a gas explosion, and that there's not much left of him. And in addition to that, his wife says he was a 90-pound weakling. All right, and she doesn't care what happens to the body because they were 2 weeks away from getting the divorce papers signed. When we see the quote-unquote body later on, it's actually filling half of a body bag.
Yeah, it's
the corpse. It's the burnt corpse of a very small man. So he could actually, what he does is he takes Chuck Houston's body and cremates it with Mr. Lurby's body to get rid of the evidence.
Right.
Again, I don't know why he didn't cremate Chuck Houston with Verity and just
maybe it would have been too many ashes. But with Lurby being it was just a small portion of his body remains that existed, it wouldn't be like a huge difference in ash. Like
but there would be more ashes. But what, couldn't he just throw them?
I don't know.
Oh, wait a minute. No. I know. No, it's making sense now. He had to cremate the body in the casket. And you can't fit 2 bodies in one casket.
Oh, right. Yeah. Columbo did ask that, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So that makes sense now. All right.
Yeah. So, whenever Eric Prince, or I should say Patrick McGoohan, would lift up these bodies with these grunting sounds, I'm sure it wasn't a stab at Verity being heavy or anything. Like when he had to lift her body, it was I was like, his lower back must be killing him. I was feeling it.
Yeah. It reminded me of when they move dead bodies in the movie Clue, and they make those.
Oh, dead weight. That's not. No, man, that's not light.
Yeah. Dead Weight, by the way, is the name of another Columbo episode that we haven't done yet.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one.
Okay, where are we on this?
So now we need to figure out. Columbo gets a log of cars that have been at the funeral, or not the funeral, at the viewing. And so he finds out that Verity did not drive her normal car, which is a red Mercedes. So she didn't bring that. She took a taxi cab instead. And through the logs, he's able to find out, I guess, which taxi it was. And meets Finelli, or Eddie the Fence Finelli. I don't know if you know that.
So did this guy look familiar to you?
Yes, he's got to be from Godfather or Rocky or something. I don't know.
No, he was not in Rocky. He was not in The Godfather. He was in Murder, She Wrote. He had a recurring role on Murder, She Wrote. He was the sheriff of Cabot Cove.
Oh.
After Tom Bosley left the show, or died, I can't remember which, they had him take over the role. Or not role, but he became the new sheriff. He was like the city sheriff who moved into a small town type of thing. And
I guess he did keep his nose clean, because even with that reputation.
Yeah. And
so Columbo's meeting him. He's trying to get some information from him, but Eddie's not really giving him much. And there's I don't know if you picked up on this, but when Columbo's sitting at this table, I guess where the taxi drivers sit and wait for a call for a fare or whatever, there's a metal lunchbox, and I paused and I tried to figure out what the hell.
Yes.
What was that? What lunchbox? What brand? Not brand, but what was the artwork? What was it for? Saturday morning cartoon of some sort, I'm sure.
Yes,
Boogaloos,
I saw it too. I thought it was Scooby Doo.
Could have been Scooby Doo.
Because it had it was like a red a blue and yellow type, wasn't it?
It kind of had a 70s retro look to it. Could have been, what was the name of that little dirt speedster that would talk almost like a Scooby Doo?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I have no idea what that is. Oh, man. I don't know. Did it feature in the Hanna-Barbera races that they would always have?
Yeah.
Remember, it would be like the Scooby-Doo gang versus the Flintstones versus a bunch of
It was like a little sand dune buggy. But it's like Scooby-Doo, because he would talk and they would go on mysteries. And I don't know.
Was that the same show with Captain Caveman? Captain Caveman! No?
That's better than your McGoohan impersonation.
That sounded less like Captain Caveman and more like Bob Rohrman, a car salesman in Chicago in the 80s. That was being on TV. Anyway.
So we also learned that... So we see this one guy come up, and he's talking to Columbo, and now Columbo doesn't know anything about this guy. Obviously, they're not related. They don't recognize each other. I mean, the taxi driver's black, he's white. I'm not trying to be racist. I'm just making a point that will come up in a moment.
Yeah, I know what it is.
So he sees that, he writes HB, and he goes, HB, what does that mean? And the guy says, oh, that's for Hollywood Boulevard. And Columbo slaps his forehead. And
I think we probably got the cue of the dun dun dun.
Right.
Dun, dun, dun.
So SB would be Sunset Boulevard. Duh. So PHSB. So now we know what the SB stands for. We got half of the clue.
Right.
We thought it was phone SB. Now it's something Sunset Boulevard.
This happens occasionally in Columbo episodes where somebody writes something down and then they die, and then he's got to figure out what it means, like Mac. Mm-hmm. Remember the one where, what was it, the Leonard Nimoy one where the victim wrote down Mac?
Oh, right. It was an acronym or something of a...
Yeah, it was something medical... Mm-hmm. Medical supply company,
yeah.
And he thought it was a guy's name. Yeah.
Who's Mac? Anyway, so we found Sunset Boulevard, so he takes a photo. The one photo he finds out was missing from that previously discussed. I feel like we're jumping around. So earlier we mentioned there was 11 photos, but the 12th was missing.
Wait. Can I?
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. Can I mention one thing about the cab company?
Yes.
Did you catch the name of the cab company?
No.
The name of the cab company was Impact Cab Company. Isn't that a really bad name for like?
Yes.
Like, why did was Collision Cab Company already taken? I don't know.
Maim and Mangle Cab Co.
Yeah.
But so he takes the photo. The missing photo is actually the front entrance of who would we say it was? Dorothea Page's home.
Dorothea Page, yeah.
So he takes that photo and he's going, I guess, through Sunset Boulevard looking for the same entrance as in this photo, and he does find it. And it's it now belongs to a prince. Not a prince. We don't know who he is.
He's a Sikh or a sheik. I don't know if it's the same thing, but he's a slightly not quite offensive racial character.
Yeah. And
He's like, why is this character this like Middle Eastern guy with the 2 bodyguards? And that's cool and all that, but what is it that you said he says 1,000,000 times?
1,000 pardons?
Yeah, 1,000 pardons. And then when asked about television, he says, television, a box full of infidels. Right. I'm like, whoa, what are you going to fly a plane into NBC Towers? Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah.
This is 3 years before 9/11.
Well, when you could almost cut this scene out, but we do learn about Dorothea Page, in that when she died, there was a mystery behind her death. It was and he tells Columbo, surely you must have heard of it. It was the case of the mysterious missing diamonds. So we learn about that. So Columbo does his due diligence, and I guess he off-screen finds out a little bit more about the case. So what happens basically is this famous movie star from the old talkies, as Columbo was said. She died, but she had a really expensive necklace on, and it went missing during her death, and they were never able to find it. And so that is a big clue to what's behind.
I would have loved if they would have changed the name of the actress to Nora Chandler or Grace Wheeler, which are 2 former Columbo murderers from the 70s.
Oh, huh.
That would have been cool, but what are you going to do?
But anyway, so what's the next thing? Oh, so Columbo now goes to I love it when he goes to these events. So he goes to a funeral home.
It's
what?
It's the convention or the party to award Eric Prince funeral director of the year or something such thing, and there's a great scene to be had in this. Oh. 2 great scenes in this place, and one of them is in the car, where they both get into the car for some privacy. Mm-hmm. It's a car that's set up as part of a display inside the hotel. It's a funeral parlor car, a hearse.
A hearse, yeah.
And they're sitting in the two front seats, and Columbo tells him all about the Dorothea Page story. And what's funny is that when the moment that he mentions Dorothea Page, Eric Prince almost loses it. Like, that's when he almost loses his cool. He never loses his cool with Columbo ever, but for one moment he's like, oh fuck. You can see the oh fuck on his face. Mm-hmm. And then after that conversation, Columbo follows him into the bar with a bunch of obnoxious drunken undertakers. God, they were dumb. And has another talk with him. And yeah, it was. I liked that. I wrote down that this scene was gold, and they follow it with even a better scene a few minutes later.
Okay. Well, there's one thing in particular we need to hit upon, and as soon as I saw it, I texted you that I got you.
Oh Jesus! I know. Okay.
So in this scene where Columbo's talking to Eric Prince in the hearse alone, Columbo brings up, my cousin. He's a cab driver, and I was talking about this HB or this SB, and then he told me about HB means Hollywood Boulevard. And so I'm thinking, wait a minute. We just saw that conversation with his quote-unquote cousin. Obviously was not his cousin. It was some random guy, obviously of no relation. Mm-hmm. So Columbo just makes things up about relatives. Family, cousins, children, wives.
Just because he makes stuff up about a cousin doesn't mean that the wife is made
Oh,
up.
come on. I think this is perfect evidence that he's making this up as he goes.
He can't tell Prince why he was at the cab company
Okay,
office.
well, you can't tell people about his wife when he doesn't have one. So I think this proves my point.
This is not.
Yes,
this proves nothing.
It does.
It proves nothing. But
he makes stuff up on the fly.
Okay, so he makes stuff up on the fly so people will understand him better. Like, so it can be more, relative. That's cool. But that doesn't mean that everything he's ever said about his wife is made up. Mm-hmm. I knew that that's what you were talking about when you texted me. And I was like, oh, whatever. It's the cousin.
No, because if he's willing to do that about his cousins, his nephews, his brother's son, whatever. I mean, he's making stuff up. And I'm not putting down Columbo. I'm just saying that he's got a reputation for making things up and then correlating it to his family members.
Okay, that's one piece of evidence.
It's a maybe, right?
I
don't need solids. I just mean babies. That's all I need. Just maybes.
Yeah. Okay. It's not a solid. It's a maybe. Yes, but there is just because you are a
what
just because you have one quality doesn't automatically mean that you have the other quality.
I think this proves my point. Anyways,
I think
okay,
it proves doo-doo.
We can move on to the scene that you thought was gold. So what was that?
Okay, so that was the scene in which it definitely known that they both know that Columbo knows that Eric Prince is the murderer. Mm-hmm. And that is on the evening of Prince's... it's the last night in the story. It's the evening of Prince's arrest. And he asks him something like, well, what would have happened to the body? And Columbo says, well, that's a burning question, sir. And Prince just says, well, what you're trying to say is that the only person who could have done it is me. And Columbo's like, well, yes, that's right, sir. But you have no body, Columbo. And Columbo walks out of the room, and McGoohan's going like, hello?
Are you still there?
Did you walk away? I love that scene. That is so awesome. He actually gets McGoohan all pumped up and walks out of the room on him and leaves it like McGoohan's like, oh, well, I'm going to show him a thing or two. And Columbo walks out of the room on him, leaving him alone. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a body, but he will. Oh, so to speak. Yeah. He'll have the ashes of a body. But, we see Columbo come back, and he seems like he's going over pricing. Because he's looking for funeral costs for himself and possibly a wife of maybe he might have. And
okay, keep on going.
So he's going over and they're talking about you can do cremation and that's when the lady who's the widow of what was his name?
Mr. Lurby.
Lurby, thank you. We found out that she picks up the urn. It's like, whoa, this is like really heavy. I'm like, it's ashes. How much do you think ashes must weigh? But so that was kind of a clue that he's a little heavier than he once was. Yeah. Let's see what else. Prince. Here's Columbo getting the full tour of the kind of the preparation room, and one of the things that Prince says that was really creepy to Columbo is something like, he says, "I'll take over the tour," and tells Columbo something like, "Welcome to my parlor." And I'm thinking parlor, and I was like, it almost reminds me of that what's that saying? It goes, "Welcome to the parlor," said the spider. The spider said to the fly, or something like that. And I'm like,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So very
absolutely.
The game is on. Oh, the game has been on, but Columbo's now in his web, so to speak.
Or so he thinks. Yeah. Or is it the other way around? It takes a while for him to realize that he's underestimated Columbo.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. We also find out that you basically burn down to 5 pounds of ash if you're cremated. That's kind of creepy. I'd probably be a little bit more, but I don't know.
I don't know. I think I'd beat you there, Steve.
I think with all the alcohol, though, I'd probably just evaporate. They would stick me in there, and
or it would blow up the building. Well.
Oh.
So I guess we get to the end. Can we get to the? Oh yes. He talks to Liz Houston,
yeah.
And she's so drunk now. She's day drinking, and she gets so excited when she talks.
Yeah.
That the liquid flies out of her glass as she speaks so excited.
Do you ever do that?
It's almost never. I've never done that in my life.
I bet you have.
One time, I'm going to tell you something. One time, I was at my aunt's house, and I was really drunk.
Yeah.
And we were outside in the patio smoking. And I went to sit down on a lawn chair. And the chair broke as I was sitting down on it. It never was that fat to break a lawn chair. And I stumble around and blah, 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 blah. And as I'm sitting on my ass in the concrete pavement, I hold up my glass and they say, "Don't worry, I didn't spill a drop." That was a story that you laugh at because it's a funny story.
Oh, I've got funnier stories about you being drunk. So
you do?
Oh yeah. At certain conventions and stuff that we've attended together.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't worry about that. Throwing up in bushes and stuff like that.
So yes, we find out through that little visit that Liz confesses. She confessed. I confess. Not to the murder, but she confesses to dumping who she thinks her husband's ashes over the Hollywood sign, which is illegal. Did you ever hear that story? It came out a couple of years ago from Disney that people would take ashes to the Haunted Mansion attraction.
Yes.
Apparently that thing is just covered in human remains. That is so gross.
Yeah. That is awesome. You know what? I know I want to be cremated, but I don't know where I want my ashes to go.
When Liz was releasing those ashes, I was hoping that the helicopter blades would cause a little upspin of air and throw it back in her face.
Go up in her.
There was, I think, and I could be wrong. Let me know. I know you've seen this film, The Big Lebowski. Don't they take their friend's ashes in a coffee cup or a coffee of a Folgers can, and they release it out into the ocean, and the wind comes back at them and it gets in their face? Was that?
I'm afraid to say that I have never seen The Big Lebowski.
What?
I know, Mr. I've seen every movie has not seen The Big Lebowski.
Wow. Okay. Well, you need to see that one. But yeah, that reminded me of that scene.
There was this scene. There was a movie from the '80s with Michael Caine where he kills his wife, and it's very much like a Columbo. And I can't remember. I remember it was called A Shock to the System, and he kills his wife with electricity, and he has to throw her ashes out, at a funeral, and the wind blows it all back up into his face. Yeah. So, okay.
So the next scene now Columbo has he tells Liz, "I've got the best arrest planned for you and the best arrest ever." Like he's going to make a scene of it, which he's done. Columbo is known for theatrics, even dressing up as a ringmaster at one point.
That was in The Murderer's Mind. He didn't actually dress up.
No, that was the one where with the Steven Spielberg character. Mm-hmm. Was that the name of it?
Alex Brady.
Yeah.
It was called Murder
Well, he does dress up as a ring. Well, yeah, I mean, he doesn't, but he does. Weird.
Yeah, it's murder, smoke, and shadows. But he doesn't.
Okay, anyway, so he puts on this big production. He's going to arrest Liz for, dumping the ashes. And, of course, that would have been the helicopter pilot's fault for not reporting it, which is Eric Prince's employee. So he kind of builds this whole thing up. But they start off very civil. They're enjoying a cup of tea together. And Columbo and him are kind of having their come-to-Jesus moment with each other. Where he's basically saying, I hate to lose. I catch guys like you all the time. In my 25 years, I've always catch guys like you, but I can't quite get you, and I hate to lose. And it's kind of like, wow, he just said to Prince that I know you did it.
Yeah.
I can't prove it, but I know you did it. I'm going to figure out a way to get you. And Prince takes a lot of, pride in that. Tells him he doesn't like to lose either, and serves them both a cup of cup of tea. And then Columbo then tells him about the story about the dog owner who, is that? I know I've heard that before. Is this brought up later in another Columbo episode?
No. No. There were only 2 episodes after this anyway.
So, yeah, he tells him about this lady who didn't love her children but had this dog that she adored, and the rhinestone collar wasn't rhinestones. It was actual, like, what is it, like $45,000? No, $450,000 dollars in diamonds. And they didn't find out because till they cremated the dog, because the rhinestones were diamonds. Diamonds don't burn, and boom, that's where the diamonds came from. And so we kind of figure out, I don't know how he comes to this conclusion, that Prince at some point with Dorothea, what was the last name? Dorothea Page, that the diamonds of the day of her death, he took them, stuffed them down her mouth, and then cremated her, and then collected the diamonds later.
I don't understand why he came to that conclusion, or how.
Yeah, I don't either.
Wouldn't he could just take the diamonds off of her neck, hide them somewhere, and then cremate her?
He said the cops were there within 2 minutes, and they probably searched everywhere.
Oh,
and that would not be the one
That's
place
true.
they would look, inside her mouth.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. That makes perfect sense then. Okay.
Yeah, so when they hear the helicopter landing, and both Prince and Columbo go outside, and they see Liz there. The cops have brought her, and they're going to formally arrest her for dumping the remains of her husband over the Hollywood sign. And that's when they bring over the ashes of the other lady,
Mr. Lurby.
Yep. And we find out that well, you take it away. I'm kind of stumbling here.
It's okay. It's so Columbo asks Mrs. Lurby. He's like, "Has your husband ever had any kind of injury, or has he ever had a pacemaker or bullets or any metal in his body?" And she's like, "No, he was." She says something like, "Oh, he was 4H, 4F his whole life, never been in the military." And he says, and he explains to Prince. He says, "Well, I was at Mrs. Houston's house, and Mr. Houston actually framed an X-ray." Which had a piece of shrapnel that was stuck in him that was still in him from the war, and shrapnel is made out of stainless steel. It only burns or disintegrates at like 2100 degrees or something like that. A cremation oven only goes up to 600 or 1600 degrees. We find out earlier. And so he picks up the urn supposedly containing Mr. Lurby's ashes and shakes it. And there's something in there. He takes out the sugar cube tongs that Prince gave him moments earlier and pulls out a piece of shrapnel identical to the one that's in Mr. Houston's body.
Aha!
Which means that if that's Mr. Houston's body in that urn with Mr. Lurby, who the hell did he cremate? And whose ashes did Mrs. Houston spread?
Now, do you think realizing that the person that she thought she threw ashes out of, it was not, when she found out it was not her husband, but the woman that gave her dead husband a big wet kiss. Don't you think that would drive her more into alcoholism?
I really don't think she gave a shit at this point. I think maybe the fact that Eric Prince was going to jail, she was probably more drunk after that. I don't know.
I liked how Mrs. Lurby referred to her husband as a dirty penny. It's like, he keeps coming back up. I hope when I die, my wife doesn't think of me as a dirty penny.
Well, yeah, that was kind of funny, but yeah. There's something about this, and are we gonna rate it after a word from our sponsors?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Patrick McGoohan is the prisoner, trapped in a strange, terrifying prison.
A lot of people are curious about what lies behind your resignation. They want to know why you suddenly left. A man like you is worth a great deal on the open market. The information in your head is priceless. I don't think you realize what a valuable property you've become. What a valuable property you've become.
Patrick McGoohan is the prisoner.
So who should go first, you or me? I don't remember who went first last time.
I can go. I think you went first last time.
So you go first this time.
So, Sean, what would you rate tonight's episode 1 out of... a lot of numbers in this one. Did you want to take a guess, or should I just...
11:47.
Oh, would that have been the time that her cell phone stopped working? What was that? 11:47.
That was the time that she supposedly wrote the article about cocaine.
Oh, no. So, 1 out of 178. That's how many times Chuck Houston was shot. 178 times.
Okay.
That's a lot of times.
All right.
So, I'm going to tell you some of the things I enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed, like I mentioned earlier, Patrick McGoohan's acting. I thought he was really good. The characters were really entertaining to watch. I wish we would have seen more about the sergeant. He was kind of like maybe had like 2 minutes max in this episode.
He comes back in the next episode.
Does he?
Yeah.
I thought the person that plays Liz, I can't think of the actress's name. I thought she did a great job. It was really well acted. Again, with Eric Prince, just what a great villainous character. He had such a dark sense of humor. Some of the things that he said that really kind of I thought was interesting. He would say stuff like when he was getting ready to cremate Hudson and Kurt, wow, I already forgot his name again.
Chuck Houston.
Not Chuck Houston, no, the other guy, the skinny guy.
Mr. Larby.
Larby, thank you. When he was prepping their bodies for cremation, he said something, gentlemen, I fear this is for double occupancy. And what else did he say? Like a fresh repaired oven awaits you and stuff. He's like just really dark. And it was really nice. I really enjoyed him.
Oh, Verity, dear Verity, as he's like taking stuff out of her purse and putting it out in her desk. And,
yeah, he would talk to himself. I just enjoyed him immensely. I don't really have much bad to say about this. I don't know if it's something I would really want to see again anytime soon, though. So out of 107,
why would
I don't know. I mean, it was good. It was good. I just maybe I would give this maybe another 6 months before I'd want to see it again. So I would give it maybe a 143.
Okay. All right. So mostly positive.
Yeah. No,
but
it's
not
a good.
perfect.
No, it's good. It's just, I think it's just because I hate to say it because I love Peter Falk in Columbo, but I don't know. It almost seemed like the villain was the most entertaining person on screen, as opposed to Columbo.
Well, I think that that's okay sometimes. Yeah. I do. I think that that's okay. And let's not forget that McGoohan was directing this. So,
right.
All right. So
it's a perfectly fine. It's a perfectly fine episode. Yeah.
Talking about it now, and making sense of the murder, and why he did what he did. I was confused by it at first. And now that it makes more sense, I enjoy it more. I'm going to say something bad about it first, and it's going to be about McGoohan. Is that I feel that he's playing the same character that he played in the other 90s episode. He just switches occupations from a lawyer to a mortician. That's maybe my only complaint. That does not mean that he's bad in this. In fact, he's freaking wonderful. I loved watching him. When he and Columbo were on screen together, your eyes are immediately drawn to him.
Yeah, even the ending is kind of like a two friends smiling at each other kind of thing. Yeah,
and I think he is my favorite Columbo murderer. Sorry, Jack Cassidy. Although we still have 2 more Jack Cassidys to watch for this. He's wonderful. I really, really like this. Everything about it was perfect Columbo. We have a really pompous, intelligent murderer. We have the schlubby Columbo. We have him obviously underestimating Columbo. Perhaps it's the fact that he does not realize until the final moments that he's underestimated Columbo. But he never lets his guard down. He never loses it with Columbo. He comes close a few times. Once in the hearse, I think, at the convention, and I think again when he's talking to him in the funeral parlor. I thought it was a great character study. It was really good. I really can't say anything negative about it. I think it's probably in my... Oh, gosh. It may be one of my favorite 90s episodes. So I'm going to say that this is... Oh, wait. I think that we could have... One thing that I think we could have done without was the stupid singing at the convention. When the body meets a body, and those drunk guys...
Yeah, that was drunk
guys. But this was pretty damn solid. This was pretty damn good, Columbo.
And it was fun to see Rue McClanahan in this too. I mean, I don't think she's done any other Columbo episodes, as far as I know.
No. And she was already like a big name, because I think the Golden Girls was done by then. So I'm going to give this a really wonderful, rousing... What was it? 173?
178.
I'm going to give this a 173.
Wow.
I really like
Very
this.
Good. Okay.
I think this
it's
is
a
pretty
solid
damn
episode.
perfect.
It's a solid episode, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm glad we watched that.
So,
not so glad that we have to watch some other 90s episodes
we're almost done with them, aren't we?
We've got 2 more.
Wow. So, did you think that Rue McClanahan's shoes looked really big? There's a scene where Columbo is like picking them up and shows them to Liz and Prince, and they looked like men's shoes. I mean, they were huge.
Maybe it was more RuPaul than Rue McClanahan.
Maybe. Was that done, you think, because it was a bigger prop to pick up than...
That's a good point. That's very possible. But again, Columbo with the shoes.
Yeah. And what's with the scene at the very beginning with her feet in the camera? That was just weird.
Wait, you're right. Isn't there like a... Don't they pan across and she's got her feet up on the desk and she's holding the puppy,
right,
drinking scotch, which, by the way, is my ultimate favorite evening. Drinking scotch, holding a puppy or a kitten, and watching Netflix, but they didn't have Netflix.
Watching Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah, Entertainment Tonight. All right. Before we roll the swinging wheel of the 70s, we have a really, really nice piece of feedback that we received. And,
nice.
Yeah, I'm going to be happy to share it here. All right, so this comes from Ursula. And Ursula writes, she's from Australia, I believe. Mm-hmm. Ursula writes, Hi, Confab. I am Ursula, a 67-year-old woman living in Australia. I came here in 1959 from Germany. I love your podcasts, particularly at night when I can't sleep, and you two are so entertaining that I don't mind staying awake. But your podcast is so much fun that it reassures me, so I fall asleep, wake up, and go back over and over.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much. My husband is 75, and he likes Columbo, but is not as addicted as me. I play him my favorite parts of your podcast when making breakfast.
Oh, God.
That's when I have his attention.
Oh, sir, I am so sorry. God. I was trying to imagine forcing my wife to listen to something.
I don't know what she would play. I can't imagine anybody playing back anything that we do is like, oh, listen to this. This is funny. Check out the part when they say this. Ursula must be a very interesting lady in that case. She says, I watched the show originally with my mom, and so it has added poignancy as she passed away 10 years ago. Thank you so much for your fabulous work. I love your analysis, in which I had access to your podcast when I was teaching literature.
Oh, wow.
Students would have loved it. Your enthusiasm and humor is catchy. I think your work would appeal to all demographics.
Oh, that's nice.
On another note, I did not like the last salute to the Commodore, as it was too hammy, but I love Patrick McGoohan and would forgive him anything, because he directed that. Looking forward to endless podcasting from you two, and thank you, Ursula. That was a good one. That was very good. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't have anything bad to share. We didn't have any nasty,
That will be from Ursula's husband next week.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, I think it's time. I'm excited.
Me too.
It's time, Steve.
I like
it's time. I love. This is personally. I think this is my favorite moment of the podcast. Is when you swing the wig and wheel or the swing and wheel.
Uh-huh.
In this case, it's the swing and wheel of the 70s. So, sir, if you could do this, the honor, please, and swing it now.
Swing it away.
Do you have any hopes for this?
No. I don't keep up with what we watch, so I honestly don't know what's left.
Okay. Well, we're going to be watching something that I referenced earlier in this very same podcast. We're going to watch Forgotten Lady, starring Janet Leigh.
Oh, yeah.
As a has-been musical star.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not a good one. I'm not going to tell you.
It's okay if they know if it's a good one or not. This is one actually that I watched with my mom and dad when they were here for Thanksgiving. Yeah. My mom and dad, the things that we could agree to watch was Columbo. I think I may have mentioned this last time we recorded. They didn't like Mad Max Fury Road. They didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to, it's like I don't know what to show you guys. So the only thing that we could all agree on was Columbo. So I bought them Columbo, the disc set for Christmas, so they can watch it whenever they want, which they'll probably never watch it, and they'll just forget that they have it, as they usually do. So, next time we're going to be watching Forgotten Lady, so if you haven't seen that in a while, watch that one. And, Steve, is there anything you want to say before we say goodnight to the good people out there? And
1,000 pardons to everybody that's being forced to listen to this. I don't know, that's it.
All right. Cockaspurts, good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the Columbo Confab podcast. To email us with a comment or question, write to columboconfab@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @ColumboConfab, and look for us on Facebook. If you're enjoying the show, please leave us some happy reviews on iTunes.
I love clues.
Hello, I'm Sean, and I'm the host of the 1001 Movies podcast, based on the book 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die. Each episode, I randomly pick a film from the book and spend about 10 minutes talking about its director, the cast, the genre, and my personal thoughts on the merits of the film. Each delicious yet bite-sized episode contains information about a film from practically any genre, any country, or any year. Check us out on iTunes and we'll send you free cookies. Some restrictions apply.